Yeah, I did. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And as the only parent among the three of us, and having a 17-year-old, so social
That
media,
you know of.
yes, and social media
Richard,
being
do you
so
have something to tell us?
social media being
Yeah.
so relevant in a teenager's life, I like I was talking about with nude pics. I do the same thing about social media. I'm like, I'll ask dude, and yes, I call my daughter dude. I've called her that since she's teeny tiny. That's my nickname for her. I'm like, dude, just be aware that you are documenting everything you do. I said, when I was a kid, we passed notes in the hall, and that was our social media, was passing a note so you could talk about each other and do these things. Yours is documented, people can find it. The reason I bring that up is I'm surprised by it, and I won't name what family member does this, but they were talking to my wife and I, and Shelly said something like, yeah, and I look at Abby's Instagram every day. Go get on her phone, I look at it, and Abby knows to do it. And this person said, you check it? I find that invasive. And she's like, that's my 17-year-old child. There's no invasive part of this. I'm her parent. I'm here to check it. And this person's like, that's their territory. I leave them alone. I'm like, oh, my God. This is just like the thing with Trump.
Until she's on her own, no.
Yeah, this is like Trump on his own. And I've thought that with his brand. I appreciate that he wants that's one of his platforms he likes to communicate, but he needs to have a filter. Yeah, you need to have a filter that basically says, yeah, you shouldn't do this. What if we did this? And that's what, until Abby's gone off in college, guess what? That's my job as her parent, is to, if you want to use invade her territory and say, that's not what you want to do. That's a bad decision. And we all despise our parents to some extent somewhere in there because we felt like our parents like, you're making bad decisions.
Yep.
The reason they say it is they made those bad decisions themselves.
They already did it, or they can see where you're going. Yeah.
It's a weird spot to think about the stuff that I got away with from under my parents'
Oh, yeah,
nose.
because we lived in the past. Yeah.
But also having parents that trusted me, that allowed me to do things. And I could easily see my parents wanting to be involved with my social media if I were a kid still, just wanting to be involved in it. But giving me a little bit of freedom here and there on some things, but probably not entirely over the entire thing.
Abby has total.
And I would certainly be worried about, the thing that I'd be worried about as a parent more than anything else is finding out that there's bullying or anything happening to my kid and not ever being able to intervene or be involved, in such a way. And social media is a terrible, or is a perfect place for bullying to happen.
And that's one of the reasons we keep an eye there. And to me, the great thing, at least from my situation raising that kid, is that she now knows we're not going to judge you. We want to know the truth. Tell it to us. And we've always told her, bring the truth to us. We may not like what you've done, but we'll help you figure out how to emerge from it in a better position. And I think that I, as a parent, I want to know these things. I want that honesty, and that only makes my relationship with my kid better. I don't understand the passive drawback from it. Let's look at Trump again. If he had somebody in the way, when he gets blown up over tweets, if he had somebody there to help him with that, that would lessen some of the burden of that. And it's the same kind of mentality.
Even just for typos.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Even just for that to me would something that I'm embarrassed by when I do that. When I do a tweet or Instagram, whatever, and I have a typo, I'm like, I got to fix that. Oh, I don't like the.
So I don't know what your neighborhood is kid-wise, Todd. Are there a lot of kids around there or no? Like Abby's age or nothing?
There are some, but honestly, we were the first house in this neighborhood, and so
so you moved in there, what,
20 years ago? 20 years ago. And
20 years ago, geez.
So Abby's almost 18. She'll be 18 in a month and a half. So she is currently, outside of people that moved in, the oldest kid in this neighborhood by far.
So was she running up and down the streets, playing in the streets like we did?
To an extent.
When we were kids in the 80s and 70s?
I don't want to sound like Shelley and I are worrywarts, but we're also very aware that you just don't send a kid out these days.
I didn't know if, you were a parent that, all right, go out when the lights come on, come home for dinner, like we were when we were kids.
So,
I think that's all changed now, right? Particularly because we live in cities.
Well, I mean, this is 20 years ago. That's what I'm asking.
Well, So here's how we did that. We wanted Abby to feel that we trusted her. That was important. That we trust in who you are. And so what you do, especially because the little kid doesn't think mommy and daddy are watching, go get on your bike, honey. There's a park for this whole neighborhood that's just around a couple of blocks away. And you let her ride away half a block, and then you step and you walk to where you can still see her ahead of you. You know, and she feels like she's on her own. She gets the confidence to go on her own, but you're still watching. So we were cautious. We're not stupid. I mean, there are some people out there that do shit.
Was it ever a go out and have fun and come home, or was it always a little bit of parental supervision?
As she gets older, and that she would have friends around here that she could meet up with, and we knew that if she rode into the block, that's where she got a friend. That parent would see them. You know, then you begin to open up the doors.
Okay. But it wasn't like us as kids. So just go out and have fun, come home.
I don't know anyone that has a kid now that's raised it the way we were, because I mean, shit, my mom still was like, don't go beyond this place. I went beyond that place and would ride to a store, 2 miles away on my bike. You can't do that anymore.
Fucking building ramps to jump into lakes.
Right, yeah, exactly. I was going to drainage ditches and little areas of construction and riding my BMX bike over dirt mounds and, forgetting time and not realizing that it's like 8 o'clock and the sun's going down and my dinner's probably ready. My mom's probably
Wait, the light's on now? So oh, I had a kite on a fishing line, on a actual fishing line that went to the point that the kite just disappeared as a dot, and then the line broke. And so I don't know how many miles and houses it went across.
Yeah, going to the cemetery at the end of the block, my grandparents' house, and just running around. They dropped, I'd hang out with my grandparents for the weekend, and they were doing their own thing. And I'm like right in the front yard, playing with some neighbors, going up to the graveyard, hang out in the graveyard all afternoon, stuff like that.
My parents had a creek behind their house, still do, that had copperhead snakes in it. We'd go play war down there with our guns, and you'd look, and it's like, oh shit, snake. We let it go by, and that creek leads to a really big, beautiful lake. And one time it got
where all the
cold
copperheads are.
And it got cold enough one time to actually freeze some of the water. And I was the dummy that stepped on the water and fell through. I mean, stepped on the ice and fell through. So, I mean, the stupid things you do as a kid and you learn from, you can't allow that these days just because, the predatory nature of some shit. So
I think we've wrapped this up. We go from stupid kids doing things as a kid, and then we grow up and do stupid things where we take pictures of our dicks. But that's not so stupid because it's our dicks, and if we want pictures of them, that's our responsibility.
So we're going to be posting on the Minute of the Apes Twitter page a link to all of Sean's pics if you want to see them.
All right, here we go. Switching the camera around.
Wow, that's almost too much. I don't need to see that. All right, I think we pretty much wrapped that out. You guys got anything else?
That was it.
We've closed the dick pic episode.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week. More minutes from Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Everyone, have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.